Ultra. I'm not good. I'm actually very bad today, to be honest. Mental health not so well. Yes, and our stupid medics can't do nothing. They just say you should use to it. That's all their advice. You should use to it. It's for a whole future life, and it's so fucked up because I believe if they try harder, they can be more successful with treatment soldiers, but they just most of them just don't give a fuck, and it's bad because my condition is pretty okay. I can talk and walk to the passed out, but I still can walk. But other soldiers in more badly conditions, and unfortunately, there's no big progress in treatment. But I believe you, Starsky, and Rick, at least you have some good news. And sorry, friend, what's your name? Mr. High-ranked officer, sergeant, president of world. Who you are?
No, that's not true. Don't listen to him. I'm just a normal guy.
Okay.
But my name's Bradley. Bradley Top. They call me
Bro
Top.
Bradley.
Yeah, and yeah, yes, sir. Yeah.
Wow, cool name, and all Ukrainian wants Bradley actually.
Yeah, it used to be when I was in the army. I was actually a Bradley commander, and I actually had a platoon of Bradleys that I was in charge of.
So
Wow.
it's your call sign or your name?
That's my call sign. The guys gave me here in Ukraine. The Ukrainian soldiers
Okay.
they call me Top, and they call me Top for a reason. They said, "Well, you're the top soldier, the top guy we know. You do everything right and all that stuff. So we'll just call you Top." And I'm like, okay, whatever. That's what you guys want to call me. Go ahead. Cool. Got it. Done. We'll just log that one in and call it a day. Because I didn't have a call sign, you know. I'm just walking around, everybody's calling me Bradley. And I was like, well, I guess I need to get a call sign. So they kind of picked that one out for me. So I didn't pick it out myself.
Nice.
Yeah, so Bradley is his actual name. And Bradley, I need to send you this one, definitely. Do you like it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll ask you for an address later.
I have a story to share that Roman will understand about military doctors. So like 2020, I started feeling like constant ache around the heart. And I went to the hospital, and like first they sent me to do like this cardiogram and stuff. And then I take the results and I go to the surgeon, I think. And he, like, I'm saying, like, everything's fine, only I have like slight pain in my heart, and it's like constant, it doesn't go away. The dude goes, "You gotta worry less. Goodbye."
Motherfucker.
So I feel your pain, bro.
Yeah, appreciate it. You must not be worried, son.
Yeah, don't worry, be happy.
Yes.
Everything will be fine.
Shit. Yeah, thanks for that, Starsky.
Well, I...
Bradley, we don't hear you. You're muted.
Oh,
sorry.
well, I'm sorry. One thing, like you were saying before, people can see the scars of war. They can see things that happen when you get wounded. They can see all those things. But the biggest thing that over almost 20 years of time in the U.S. Army, I've done a lot of combat time, and even here in Ukraine, I've seen a lot of bad things too. Uh, you you can't take away the emotional scars, and emotional scars are just as bad as physical scars. And being a soldier, it's really tough to get over these things. I've known guys that served overseas and did 5, 6 tours, and they come home and they're wrecked, and it takes them years to get over this with professional help. And if The one thing that the Ukrainian army definitely needs to work on, especially after the war's over, is we need to have some really good mental health programs for the Ukrainian army. We're definitely going to need it because there's going to be a lot of guys coming back from this conflict, and they're going to need a lot of help. And for people to say like, "Oh, don't worry about it," or "You'll get used to it," that's not psychologically. I can tell you this myself. I had a lot of hard times when I came back from some things as well. And being a soldier, it takes time to heal those scars and those wounds. And people really got to take that stuff seriously. And if somebody's telling you that, like in that way, that's totally wrong. It really is, and there needs to be better for you. I'll tell you that right now.
Bradley, I have a question about the guys who go like overseas. How long does the deployment last? Is it like half a year, or something like, or it depends?
Well, I had five during my time in the service. I had 5 deployments, and some of those would last 12 months. Some of those would last 14 months, but I never had one less than 12. And we would deploy. So like Iraq, we'd be there for 14 months. We'd come back home, and we'd get about a year or two, maybe 18 months, and then we'd be right back at it again. And it's hard. It's not only hard for the soldier, it's hard for the families. It's hard for the children in those families, and luckily in our army, American Army, we do have some very professional mental health programs that help guys through this kind of stuff. Uh, because I know we in our army, we understand that it's not just about the physical damage that can happen during war. It's about the psychological damage as well. And that's what I'm saying about all this. I think that there has to be a very special emphasis on this, especially now. We've been uh, fighting against the Russians now for 3 years. There's some guys that have been up there the whole time, and they definitely need the help. So I definitely agree with you guys on this 100%.
I have a question for you, Mr. Bradley. Like, can you? I don't know if it's possible to fit it in this stream, but maybe you have some pretty short story. How are you, American tough guys, start to realize that this physical injuries uh, could be equal emotional injuries? Because I want to give you an example. In Ukraine, we are all still tough guys, and we only count if we have physical injury. And if you have contusion, traumatic brain injuries, if you have PTSD, it's like, it's like kindergarten. It's not something serious. And when you start explaining to people, soldier, like what consequences could be, and they start feeling, oh bro, don't be so psychological, don't be so philosophical, keep it simple, just if you have arms, legs, if you have head, if you can walk and talk, just forget about, and it means that we're not so well educated, I believe, and not so experienced, because previously we have not so much war than you Americans. But still, maybe you have some secrets, because this is our job as well as veterans and as volunteers, to talk to our comrades, to educate them a bit more, that don't give a crap, don't shut your emotion, like work about it. If you felt that you want to kill yourself, for example, it means that probably something bad happened to you, and you should think in this way. So I hope I was clear to explain my question, and maybe you could share your way and your way of thinking, how you start, how you like move from tough guys to clever guys in this way, because this is very important, I believe.
Of course, uh, we had our own times with this too. During the start of global war on terrorism after September 11, 2001, and guys were going to Afghanistan, and then we invaded Iraq in 2003. Guys started coming back, and it took us a long time. It took our army about 5 years to actually get through like the process of like figuring out like, okay, how do we address the needs of these guys? You know, how do we make this like an environment? Because back in the day, if we had the same kind of culture with this, right? If you said, "Hey, I want to go talk to the guys in mental health," right? Everybody would look at you and go, "Well, is this guy crazy? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on with this?" You know, and like, and there was guys that were getting security clearances pulled. There was guys that were getting denied promotions. There was some retribution because guys were having to go to these appointments and they weren't able to do their jobs. It took our army about 5 years, and they actually had to come out and make like changes to the regulations and have protection rights for people that want to go see like mental health psychologists and things like that. Um, so it, like I say, even with us, we we were in the same position that you guys are in right now. I have personally, it was last week, in fact, no, 2 weeks ago. I was at a training ground, and I actually ran into for the first time, actually the second time I've actually seen this type of person. I ran into a Ukrainian psychologist, and they were actually there at the units to like do evaluations. They had like a sheet for the guys to fill out,
Mhm.
and basically like if they and they had like 3 or 4 of them in this group, so they brought them there. They gave them this questionnaire sheet. They were talking to these guys about like, okay, how are you feeling? Is there anything that you need to talk about? All this other stuff, and they actually brought out these doctors, these psychologists, to talk to these soldiers. Um, and I actually had a guy come up to me, who was one of the psychologists. He was a captain, and he was asking me the same questions that you're asking me now, which is kind of strange. And he's like, "Well, in your army, do you guys have like psychologists and things like that that actually deal with these kind of things?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." I said, "We got whole parts of a hospital where there's just psychologists that people go in and talk to and like deal with these kind of issues and things like that." So there's no secret or solution that I can give you, because this is fully on your military structure to deal with this issue, and they have to understand that mental health is just as important as physical health. Yeah.
Then we really sucks.
Yeah,
We
it
fucked
will
up.
take a lot of time, and I can confirm the fact that at this very point, especially when we need infantry and people who can wield weapons. In my brigade, for example, we also had working military psychologists, officers who actually did their job very well, but not until you need to, for example, take a break or something like that. Our command would always give our guys break. For example, when you're stationed at the position, after a while, you're allowed to either have like 1 week 1 week off to vent somewhere, in the rear, or you're sent back home again several days you can spend with your families. But if you have like really big issues, unless you fucking shoot yourself, you will stay in the army. Nobody cares. So, and another important thing, by the way, guys, Ukrainian veterans, and not only veterans, because after the war, I believe 90% of Ukraine's population, including children who study in the schools and they have to go to the bomb shelter every single time, all Ukrainians will need help more or less. And the only country that I can think about right now, actually two countries. that we can get experience from is Bosnia and Croatia, because those guys went through pretty much like, like we are going through. They went through the same stuff. There were atrocities, there were missile strikes, there was all sorts of horrors, and they went through this somehow. So I think we need to talk to those guys. They can tell us a lot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you heard that they did their job successfully? I mean, they passed through like tough times, but did they work through this successfully, or they just survived? Because I believe it's also important not only survive but keep on progressing in this area. Like
Well,
what's
come on, bro. Those countries are in the European Union. They are thriving, and they are fine. Croatia, Bosnia, they have plenty of tourists every single year. They are located on the seashore, and their economy thrives. I'm not sure in terms of GDP. I never compared Ukraine to Bosnia or Croatia, but generally speaking, like they are okay. People usually go there. So I think they went through this, and because looking at Bosnia or Croatia, you don't see that unholy, inhumane shit happening like in Russia. I think that they are pretty much okay with mental health. So I think that they can teach us a lot regarding this, because again, they went through some horrible times. Okay, there were Serbian Chetniks, there were Russian thugs who helped Serbian Chetniks to murder people massively. And there were the same horrors as we can see in Ukraine in terms of mass massacres, in terms of atrocities, killing civilians, in mass. And they rehabilitated somehow. So at least they are the closest people with the closest experience to what we have, I think.
okay?
Now, we talk a lot about psychological, like mental health, and psychological challenges that soldiers are facing. Another thing that people don't often talk about, but this is extremely important for every human being, is family relations, because I think nothing kills family relations more effectively than basically military service. Uh, I don't know, Bradley, if you agree with me, but in my experience and what I saw in the army and what I experienced myself, that is basically, if you gotta choose. Either you wanna have like a good family life, or you gotta go, full military and serve, because you can. It's so hard to combine both, and it also requires so much dedication from your wife or a husband, if your wife is serving, because the one who stays home is basically doomed to stay there for pretty much decades and be mostly alone with kids, with the household, and just a few can literally withstand that successfully. It requires so much effort to keep family together. And tell me if you have any service in the American Army that is related to this, that works on this issue as well.
Of course. Yeah, it's just as hard sometimes being a professional soldier being home. You know, for instance, uh, for like a 1 month cycle, we're out in the field for like 2 weeks. So even when we're home, we're still gone. And we'll be out training for 2 weeks. Sometimes we get to come home, sometimes we don't. Um, we have once a year where we go out to what we call a National Training Center, and it's in California, or it can be the National Training Center in Fort Polk, Louisiana. And we go for an entire month, and that's a brigade level training exercise. So you have to think about it like this: even when you're home, you're only with your family about 50% of the time. And then when you deploy, when you go overseas, you know, it's coming because 6 months out or something, they'll tell you, hey, we got deployment orders, we're going here. So you're about to leave your family for 12, 14 months to go to a foreign country, and heck, you might even be going to war, and you go over the war. And like when we were in Iraq the first time, we were doing 8-hour patrols in Ramadi and Fallujah every day. On the award that I got for the tour, it said we did 268 combat patrols in 1 year, in 14 months. Okay, and that's not even counting everything. And then you come back to your family after a year or 14 months, and everything changes around you. Your wife's changed, your kids have changed, your kids have grown up. Back in the day, in the old days, we didn't have like cameras like right now where we could have like video calls and stuff like that. I remember when I first went to for my first combat tour in Iraq, I was writing letters
Really?
back home. Yeah, letters back home to my family. And it would take a week or two for the letter to get there, and it would take a week or two for the letter to get back. And yeah, and this, or maybe a week or whatever, it doesn't really matter. But you know, second tour we started getting like what is it, Yahoo chat, where you kind of see like a fuzzy video of your family, and you'd go to the computer center because they set it up, and you get 30 minutes of time to talk to your family for every couple days. And the thing is, when you get back home, everything changes. Like I said, your family changes. The things that were normal before aren't normal now. Life is different. Your children even have to adjust to you, because here's the thing about war that a lot of people don't understand: soldiers change. When you go to war, you come back as a totally different person, and your family sometimes doesn't even understand you. And it's very stressful on families. It's very hard on families. And you know, uh, in the U.S. military, we have above a 50% divorce rate in the first 5 years, because people just can't handle it. Families can't handle it. And if you and put it into perspective for this war, gents, talking about Ukraine, we got boys up there on the front right now. We all know they've been up there, some of these guys, since the war started, and they're going to come home, and everything's going to be. And I'm not a professional with the Ukrainian culture and all that stuff. I have been here for 3 years, but almost. But they're going to come home, and they're going to deal with the same kind of things, and what I expect. And it's going to be hard, not just for the soldiers to adjust to the war, and when the war ends, to not have war anymore. It's going to be hard for the soldiers to adjust to their families and their children and their loved ones. And um, the only thing that I did to deal with that when I came home is just try to adapt as much as I can to my wife and my kids, and just kind of take a step back and just don't push anything on them, and just let them push everything on me, and then just try to adjust to the situation again. But like I said before, for us, especially the guys in the global war on terrorism that did multiple tours, we'd be home for 18 months, 2 years, and then we'd go back for another year, and then it would be like a cycle. You just go through it again and again and again, but the problem is that the more tours you do, the worse it gets, because like I said, everything starts stacking up. So I think we're going to see a lot of that after the war, and I think there's going to be a big market for helping people, and I hope that we can get just as many civilian volunteers after the war helping people as we can now. I think we're definitely going to need it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, you return home from a deployment and you see that your kid walks. And then you return from a different deployment and you see that he's already in school. It sucks basically, because you gotta really love your job. Otherwise, you just don't really notice the way service steals your life and precious years. And I think not a lot of people outside the army, not a lot of them actually appreciate this. A lot of them do, but some of them, unfortunately, they don't understand this, and probably will never understand. Yeah. On the other hand, I think it's good that you didn't really have those technologies back in the days, because literally you're shooting your 50 cal at orcs, and then your wife calls you in the process and goes like, "Why don't you call me, bastard?" You're laughing. I had that, not with the 50 cal though, but I had a similar situation. It's like, "Why don't you call me? Why don't you want to talk? Don't you fucking hang up on me?" You go, "Fuck, I'm busy." She's
Are you
like,
with your girls? Are you with another ladies now? Bum, bum,
Are
bum,
are
bum,
you
bum,
with
bum,
your are you with your horse right now? I know.
bum, bum,
Don't
bum.
lie. Yeah, they're like, "I'm busy." I'm like in the car, in
Is
that.
it party? Is it party with horse?
Yeah, and you're in the Cossack, jumping on those bumps, and you're like, "I'm busy." She's like, "Why? What are you doing? Are you having a music playing?" You're like, "No, relax. I will call you later. Don't you hang up on me." It's like that every fucking time. That's why I lost all my hair and divorced, basically. So that's my story.
Ah, it's not funny. Sorry.
It fucking is.
It both funny and sad, okay? All of
Yeah.
it. Hey guys, I really like the conversation. Well, mostly you have here. I am like just listening and knocking, and I understand the scale of the challenge that we're facing. But the bigger challenge is the survival of our nation right now, because the thing is, if they will kill all of us, there's going to be no one to give the mental support to, and they keep killing us for the third year, for the fourth year actually. Yeah, it's the fourth year, and
Full scale.
full scale.
And
And
before
11 years.
also was, please.
And
okay,
hundreds of
just-
years. I apologize. Yes, but
Not hundreds, but at least from 2014.
at least from 11 years. Yes, yes. So 12th
Sorry,
year,
but
for 12th
it's
year.
important.
It is important, and I just want to point that out. So, but it doesn't mean that topic is not important, is not relevant. It is very important, and we better learn the ways to help the soldiers, because we also have that problem that like in United States, you have the guys who are coming back to the peaceful country. When Ukrainian soldiers are coming back from war, they're being delisted. They come back to the cities that are being attacked with ballistic missiles and Shahed drones every night. And it's not the same. And it's really, those tactics, those psychological methods, they just don't work in these conditions. So we need to find the new ones. We need to develop some new techniques to work on that. And of course, maybe not techniques is not enough, because some people in the chat mentioned some mushrooms, and stuff that, yeah, and medication. Roman definitely doesn't approve that. He hates medication, but mushrooms is not a medication, though. It's
It's
something
not.
different.
Whatever you say, bro.
I'm not defending mushrooms. I just heard that psilocybin it is, right? It is.
Yeah, right. Something would really change your
Yeah.
point of view, and your way of seeing the world, and just
They taste well on pizza, bro.
as you wish, bro. Thanks,
Well,
but no thanks. Yeah, it depends on soldiers. Some of them really appreciate such things like such rehabilitation, but for those who appreciate the clear mind, I believe it's like there are another ways exist, I believe.
or yet don't exist. We just need to find them out. Maybe. What do you think, Roman? Because they tried a lot of methods to help you.
It's gonna be my task actually, because if or when I'll successfully resign because of my health, finally from army, it's gonna be task number 1 to connect with the Great Britain and the USA and German and France, and find a way like to help many soldiers with the PTSD and with the consequences after traumatic brain injuries, because they have like a lot of technologies and we have a lot of experienced PTSD and the TBI guys, so we can combine these efforts to find the great solutions. Yeah, so after that it's gonna be like my really great big task for life, I believe.
Well, I really wish you success in that one, and I will try to help also.
My friend, he died shortly before the war started, but he served in Donbass battalion, and if you remember in Ilovaisk, there was this operation where a bunch of guys were captured. So he was among them, and he spent 119 days in Russian captivity. Back then, it's like back 2014, 2015. So what he did when he returned, he launched his own veteran initiative. So they basically had like a farm. Frankly speaking, he liked mushrooms too, a bit. Yeah, he was like he was like a bit into this. But generally speaking, what they did, they had a farm, and the guys, they would live there. They had like conditions, they had facilities to stay. There were a lot of places to like just hang out, play like snooker or like billiard. And they were growing different things like tomatoes, like potato, things like that. And they were growing them whole year because they had hydroponics. They could grow them there as well. And I believe they were also like selling them because, generally speaking, that is like a good income that you can have to keep this initiative running. Basically, all the facilities to maintain everything. And there are a lot of guys actually involved into this because you go to a peaceful location. They use those benefits for Ukrainian servicemen back in those days. Back in the days when you could, receive like a land, for example. And they received a piece of land where they built this farm. And I don't remember if they had animals. I know that animals is a must-have. Basically, if you're dealing with veterans with PTSD, it's a must-have because when they can care after animals, dogs, cats, whatever, birds, it's always cool. And generally speaking, you can also keep like household, like domestic animals that can produce things like milk, or eggs. And it's guys, it's so exciting, and at the same time it's so relaxing. So he was showing me pictures, he sent me a lot of videos. I'm not sure if this initiative still exists because again, unfortunately, he died from it was during COVID, but he didn't die from COVID. He died from like different disease. Again, shortly before the war. But he sent me plenty of pictures, and it was really cool. I even thought that if I retire from army, like in the nearest future, I'd probably go there because you can chill, you can talk to guys. There's nature around you. You have like this farm. There's bees. I think they also had bees, in those tiny houses, beehives. And it's a really great opportunity to basically spend time with guys who understand you, who actually have the same problems as you do, and you can talk about things. You can talk about unrelated things, basically hang out like all other men. So I think it can be a really good initiative. Probably you should think about this one as well.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing. Wow,
We got a couple different organizations in the United States that we have civilian organizations that do a lot of like veterans trips for veterans. So they'll take guys out and do the things that you're talking about. We have like what we call Wounded Warrior Project, which actually is like a civilian charity organization that helps out veterans. And there's a lot of those in the United States. We have veterans advocacy groups. Okay, they help veterans like file claims, work with our Veterans Affairs Agency, and like help them actually like get back on their feet. And then we also have like veterans organizations in the United States. We have two in particular, and I'm a member of both. So we have the VFW, so Veterans of Foreign Wars, and we have like these little like I don't know what to call them. They're like we call them posts, but what they are is they're like veterans clubs. Guys can come in there, and a lot of times the older vets go in there and they get like cheap beers to drink, and they'll sit there and talk to each other and all that other kind of stuff. And then they'll actually have like outreach programs. And then we have another one called the American Legion, which is another like organization, like the same thing. They have like a building. Veterans will come, they'll drink, they'll hang out with each other. I go there a lot when I was back in the States because it's a good place to go, and you're always around, veterans of like the Vietnam War, Korean War, Gulf War, all the wars that we fought. So, and it's a really cool place to go because it gives you a place to kind of power down where if you're having a hard time, you can talk to people who actually understand you. It's really hard being a soldier sometimes and talking to civilians about soldier life. It's very difficult because they don't really understand. They never really will, because you really have to be out there and experience that thing to understand like how to actually talk on a level with a soldier from soldier to soldier.